Exam Prep 2022. Team Test brings you a video podcast on non-fictional prose. Today with me is Megha Patel.
Hello everyone. Here is the first question on Renaissance prose. Which of the following is correctly matched? Option A, John Cheek, The Heart of Sedition. Option B, Thomas Eliot, The School of Shooting. Option C, Roger Escham, The Book Named the Governor. Let us hear from ma'am as to what is the correct answer.
Guys, it was John Cheek who edited The Heart of Sedition. Sir John Cheek was a major Renaissance scholar and he was a tutor to the royal princes and princesses. Have you heard of the Tudor Trio or Cambridge School? It comprised Sir John Cheek, Roger Ascham, and Thomas Wilson. Now let me tell you some historical details. The Heart of Sedition was a reaction to the suppression of a rebellion at that time. Do you know the actual title of this book? The True Subject to the Rebel, or The Heart of Sedition. How grievous it is to our Commonwealth. You might know the School of Shooting is also called Toxophilus. It was written by Robert Escham. The book named The Governor was a treatise dedicated to King Henry VIII, and it was about how to train statesmen. The book named The Governor was written by none other than Thomas Eliot.
Thank you, ma'am. Let us look at the second question on 17th century prose. Here it is. Which is not an example of character writing? Option A, Bellman of London and a Strange Horse Race by Dekker. Option B, Good Magistrate and Virtues and Vices of Joseph Hall.
And option C, A Priest to the Temple or The Country Parson by George Herbert. Let me explain to you guys. All of these are examples of character writing. They are all prose works describing a type character or an individual character. This character was a unique prose form in the 17th century. The Greek Theophrastus was the pioneer. Okay, the Bellman of London, have you heard? It was the most popular tract of Thomas Dekker. And did you know this was part of a series of pamphlets that Dekker wrote to expose tricksters and criminals? And these pamphlets that he wrote exposing criminals, they were called coney-catching pamphlets. Dekker also wrote another famous pamphlet, Lantern and Candlelight. Remember? A Strange Horse Race is another very funny prose tale that shows the influence of Chaucer. Now, Joseph Hall was a devotional writer, but he was also a satirist. Apart from Good Magistrate and Characters of Virtues and Vices, he has also written Virgidemiarum and even a dystopian novel also. George Herbert, everybody knows, is a metaphysical poet. He was an Anglican priest. He wrote The Temple as well as A Priest to the Temple or The Country Parson. A temple is a collection of homes. A priest to the temple is a character. And this was written at a time when Church of England was highly corrupt. And this book was like a manual or handbook for pastoral care, showing how the parish priest must work. So these are very important works and authors. I hope you'll remember.
That was an awesome explanation, ma'am. Let us look at the third question on Jonathan Swift. Which of the following is not a letter in Draper's Letters? Option A, Letter to the Shopkeepers. Option B, Letter to the Nobility and Gentry. Option C, Letter to the Libertines. Over to you, ma'am.
The answer is Letter to the Libertines. This is the first of the 7 letters in Drapier's Letters. Drapier's Letters is a collective name for all these letters that Swift wrote between 1724 and 25. At that time, he was the Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin. And now, why did he write this letter? In order to arouse public opinion against a new copper coinage called Wood's halfpence that was going to be introduced in Ireland by the English. This would have been a lot of trouble for the Irish. So Swift wrote against it under the pseudonym M.B. Drapier. This pseudonym was used to avoid retaliation from the Parliament, from the government. Actually, the letters also were condemned by the Irish Parliament because the British Parliament wanted the Irish government to suppress the letters, but they were able to inspire people's resentment against Wood's halfpence. Remember, Swift was Irish and he stood up for the Irish cause in Drapier's Letters, A Modest Proposal, and such pamphlets. If you look up Wikipedia, you will see the list of the 7 pamphlets. It will be good if you know the titles of these. Some of these are addressed to people.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is on 18th century prose writers. To which patron did Dr. Johnson write a letter saying he did not help Johnson for 7 years when he needed help the most? Option A, Bolingbroke. Option B, Chesterfield. Option C, Egerton. Let's hear from ma'am.
You know, guys, letter to Chesterfield is very famous. Lord Chesterfield was the patron of Johnson's proposal for the dictionary. But after that, for the time when Johnson was working on the dictionary, Chesterfield did not help him. He just kept quiet. And after 7 years, when the dictionary was published, then Chesterfield very opportunistically supported the dictionary and wrote in favor of it. And then in February 1755, Johnson wrote letter to Chesterfield, accusing Chesterfield for not providing help when Johnson needed it most. This is a very important prose work of Dr. Johnson. You must know Dr. Johnson wrote a lot of prose works, essays and articles for magazines like The Rambler.
That was amazing, ma'am. So the next question is, which of the following is the theme of Edmund Burke's speech on Mr. Fox's East India Bill? Option A, it presents the sufferings of the Indians at the hands of the company. Option B, it provides better ways of using British funds in India. Option C, it provides ways of organizing imperialistic projects in a structured manner.
The correct answer is Edmund Burke's East India Bill presents the sufferings of the Indians at the hands of the East India Company. Now let me explain this. You know, Edmund Burke was a conservative philosopher as well as a politician. At the time, Burke was the MP for the place called Malton. British presence in India had become synonymous with the accumulation of wealth of the capital by East India Company. And the Indian question aroused the interest of Edmund Burke. Edmund Burke became the most outspoken critic against the East India Company in the British Parliament. He associated the company's hypocrisy and immorality with the sufferings of the Indians at this time. Burke also narrated the horrifying misfortunes of the Indian kings and rulers at the hands of the East India Company. So this is very famous. Burke delivered a speech on Mr. Fox's East India Bill.
That was an awesome explanation, ma'am. So the next question is on 18th century periodical. Who of the following started the periodical The Bee? Option A, Jonathan Swift. Option B, Oliver Goldsmith. Option C, Dr. Johnson. Let's hear from ma'am.
The correct answer is Oliver Goldsmith. It was Goldsmith who started the short-lived periodical The Bee. Now, Goldsmith is a very interesting character. He was part of Dr. Johnson's club. He studied at Trinity College, Dublin, where he got involved in something called Black Dog Riot, and he was expelled for it. In London, he turned to journalism and he contributed articles to Ralph Griffith's Monthly Review. At that time, he was a nimble and witty, well-known essayist, and some of his essays were collected in The Citizen of the World. The Citizen of the World is actually a collection of his essays published in Public Ledger. And Oliver Goldsmith also wrote poems like The Traveller and The Deserted Village. He wrote one novel, The Vicar of Wakefield, and you also know that in theatre he contributed The Good-Natured Man, She Stoops to Conquer, etc.
Thank you, ma'am. So here is the next question on William Hazlitt. Which of these works is a collection of character sketches? Option A, The Spirit of the Age. Option B, Table Talk. Option C, Characteristics.
The correct answer is The Spirit of the Age. The Spirit of the Age is social criticism as well as biography. Its subtitle is Contemporary Portraits. It offers character sketches of 25 men, mostly British, who represented significant trends in thought, literature, culture. And these articles mostly appeared for the first time in the New Monthly magazine. The Spirit of the Age is described as a vivid panorama of the age. He talks about figures like Jeremy Bentham, William Godwin, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Sir Walter Scott, Lord Byron, Robert Southey, William Wordsworth, Sir James Mackintosh, have you heard of him? Etc.
So here is the next question on Charles Lamb. The essay Modern Gallantry by Charles Lamb shows option A, the attitude towards women, option B, the show of bravery, option C, the hypocrisy behind war. Let's hear from ma'am.
The answer is the attitude towards women. The essay Modern Gallantry by Charles Lamb is famous. Here, gallantry means a special respect or chivalric attention that men pay women. In this essay, Charles Lamb shows how the social attitude towards women in 19th century England was not actually genuine gallantry. It was just hypocritical pretension. Megha, do you think our friends will like this explanation?
Well, that was great, ma'am. So next question is on Thomas De Quincey. Which of the following is not a work by De Quincey? Option A, The Logic of Political Economy, The English Mail Coach. Option C, The Plain Speaker.
Hooray, The Plain Speaker is by William Hazlitt. De Quincey wrote The Logic of Political Economy and The English Mail Coach. The Logic of Political Economy is one of the many books on political economy in the 19th century. Remember, John Ruskin also wrote on this topic. The English Mail Coach is a book-length essay in 3 parts. The 3 parts are The Glory of Motion, The Vision of Sudden Death, and Dream Fugue. I have explained all these writers in very great detail in our Contemporary Encyclopedia of British Literature in 3 volumes.
Superb, ma'am. Next question is on Thomas Carlyle. Here it is. Where do you find the line, "The greatest university of all is a collection of books"? Option A, The Hero as a Man of Letters. Option B, the hero as prophet. Option C, the hero as poet.
Megha, this is from the book on heroes, hero worship, and the heroic in history, published by James Fraser in 1841. Of course, written by Carlyle. This line is from The Hero as Man of Letters, where Carlyle talks about very important figures and writers like Dr. Johnson, Rousseau, and Robert Burns. These are the examples of hero as man of letters. About hero as prophet, he talks about Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad. And for hero as poet, he gives examples of Shakespeare and Dante. Megha, isn't this awesome? Are you tired?
10 questions are over and we have so much information with us, ma'am. Moving to the next question on John Ruskin, here it is. The lectures Ruskin delivered in December 1864 at Russulem and Manchester, concerned with education and ideal conduct, are collected as Option A, Unto This Last. Option B, Praeterita. Option C, Sesame and Lilies. Over to you, ma'am.
The answer is Sesame and Lilies. It was first published in 1865 and it's a classic work on the natures and duties of men and women. Later, this work has been accused of being sexist. Anyway, Sesame here means the treasures hidden in books. And lilies, as you might expect, is a symbol of purity and beauty. It is in this book that John Ruskin famously said, Shakespeare has no heroes, only heroines.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is on Walter Pater. Here it is. Which of these is or are essential ingredients of good style according to Walter Pater? Option A, diction. Option B, design. Option C, personality. Let's hear from ma'am.
Walter Pater's famous essay on style was published in the book Appreciations. In this essay, Walter Pater says that the ingredients of good style are diction, design, and personality. So, all these are correct.
So the next question is on 19th century prose writer. Who defined realism as the doctrine that all truth and beauty are to be attained by a humble and faithful study of nature? Option A, George Eliot. Option B, William Makepeace Thackeray. Option C, Thomas Hardy.
Megha, did you know when I was a student in MA, I did not know George Eliot is such an important realist. I just thought, okay, she's a novelist, but she was also a critic. And she has written many major essays, including critical essays. It was on an essay on John Ruskin that Eliot thus defined realism. There are also critical passages in her novels like Adam Bede. So the correct answer is George Eliot.
So the next question is on E.M. Forster. E.M. Forster's essay, What I Believe, was published in Option A, Abinger Harvest. Option B, Two Cheers for Democracy. Option C, Egoist.
The answer is Two Cheers for Democracy. Abinger Harvest and Two Cheers for Democracy are major prose works of E.M. Forster. Abinger Harvest was published very early, 1936. And Two Cheers for Democracy came in 1951. Why is he giving two cheers for democracy? Do you know, Megha? Because one, democracy has variety. Secondly, democracy permits criticism. Now, guys, there are important essays by E.M. Forster that you need to know about. Notes on the English character. Adrift in India. Remember, Adrift in India. And also there's another famous essay, Me, Them and You. Read up on these, guys. Could be important.
Here is the next question on Virginia Woolf. A Letter to a Young Poet was an epistolary novel by Virginia Woolf written in 1932 addressing dash. Option A, John Layman. Option B, John Lennon. Option C, John Etchemin.
Now, this is an interesting work by Virginia Woolf addressing John Layman. You know, this John Layman was himself a writer. He had a mission to revitalize modern poetry. And he wrote a letter to Virginia Woolf about her novel, The Waves, which had been published in 1931. And he wanted Virginia Woolf's help, and he came to the Hogarth Press. She was enthusiastic about his suggestion of writing a letter to him that they could publish. So in 1932, she responded to the writer John Layman with Letter to a Young Poet. And she really liked her work. She thought it was very brilliant. And it is in the form of an epistolary novel.
That was an awesome explanation, ma'am. So the next question is on T.S. Eliot. Which of the following was an essay that was originally delivered as a lecture by T.S. Eliot at the University of Minnesota in 1956? Option A, The Frontiers of Criticism. Option B, Notes on a Definition of Culture. Option C, Hamlet and His Problems. Let's listen to ma'am.
The Frontiers of Criticism is the answer. It was an essay that was printed in the book On Poetry and Poets, a collection of his critical essays published in 1957. What is the importance of this essay? Do you know, guys? It was Eliot's response to new criticism. And he is defining the boundaries of literary criticism here. What literary criticism does, what it does not do, and what is true literary criticism, etc.
Thank you, ma'am. Here is the next question. Which of these is by George Orwell? Option A, A Day in the Life of a Cleric. Option B, A Day in the Life of a Tramp. Option C, A Day in the Life of a Citizen.
The answer is A Day in the Life of a Tramp. George Orwell, you might know, has written many famous major essays. A Day in the Life of a Tramp is autobiographical. You might know that Orwell had lived like a tramp without any money in London and Paris. About that, he has also written Down and Out in Paris and London.
So, our next question is on Doris Lessing. Here it is. Which of the following is not an autobiography of Doris Lessing? Option A, Under My Skin. Option B, Walking in the Shade. Option C, A Small Personal Voice.
The answer is A Small Personal Voice. Guys, Under My Skin and Walking in the Shade are parts 1 and 2 of Doris Lessing's autobiography. A Small Personal Voice is her essay collection.
So moving to the next question on 20th century prose writer. Which of the following is a Vedantic work by Aldous Huxley? Option A, The Perennial Philosophy. Option B, The Analysis of Mind. Option C, A Free Man's Worship.
The Vedantic work by Aldous Huxley is The Perennial Philosophy. Aldous Huxley was not only a novelist, he was also a philosopher. He was interested in the future of the society. He was opposed to organized religion, and he was introduced to Vedanta by his friend Gerald Hurd. Aldous Huxley wrote The Perennial Philosophy. It is a Vedantic work where he is talking about spiritual belief and enlightenment.
Moving to the next question on Chinua Achebe. Which of the following is not an essay in the collection Hopes and Impediments? Option A, An Image of Africa, Racism in Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Option B, The Novelist as Teacher. Option C, The Writer and His Community. Let's listen to ma'am.
Thank you, Megha. Hopes and Impediments is a collection of essays by Chinua Achebe published in 1988. It contains three major essays: An Image of Africa, where he critiques Conrad's Heart of Darkness, then The Novelist as Teacher, also the essay The Writer and His Community. So, all the three essays in the options are from that book, Hopes and Impediments. There are also other important essays by Achebe like English and the African Writer, etc. Please look up Chinua Achebe's non-fiction.
Well, here is the next question on V.S. Naipaul. Which of the following is the Nobel lecture by V.S. Naipaul? Option A, Two Worlds. Option B, This Past Must Address Its Present. Option C, He and His Man.
Megha, did you know this before? I just learned making this question. V.S. Naipaul gave the Nobel lecture called Two Worlds. It was Wole Soyinka's Nobel lecture, This Past Must Address Its Present. And J.M. Coetzee's Nobel lecture is called He and His Man. Guys, these days they're asking questions based on Nobel lectures. Look it up.
So much to know, ma'am. Well, moving to the next question on Amitav Ghosh. Here it is. In Parables for a Planet in Crisis, Amitav Ghosh uses the metaphor of dash to discuss colonialism. Option A, pepper. Option B, ginger. Option C, nutmeg.
Such wonderful spices. I love them. The answer is nutmeg. And these spices are all intertwined with the history of colonialism and post-colonialism also. Amitav Ghosh, I'm sorry, I misspelled the name, these days writes on global warming and environment. This book is titled The Nutmeg's Curse, Parables for a Planet in Crisis. Earlier, he had written The Great Derangement about the absence of global warming theme in literature.
It was quite spicy, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well, next question is on Salman Rushdie. In which of these books has Salman Rushdie discussed the immorality of Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales and also provided an account of the Hijra community?
Let me read the options, Megha. Option A, Languages of Truth. Option B, Step Across the Line. And C, Imaginary Homelands. What do you think, guys? This is Languages of Truth. It's a recent prose work, essay collection by Salman Rushdie. All the three options are prose works of Salman Rushdie.
So here is the next question on Shashi Tharoor. Shashi Tharoor delivered a speech on 28th May 2015 at the Oxford Union. What argument did he make? Option A, Britain owes reparations to her former colonies. Option B, Hindu fundamentalism is a contradiction in terms. Option C, if America is a melting pot, then India is a thali.
Shashi Tharoor's Oxford Union speech was very famous in 2015. It went viral, you might remember. There he attacked the British imperialism and said Britain owes reparations to her former colonies.
Well, that was great, ma'am, to know. So the next question is on African American prose writers. Here it is. What is the correct chronology of these books by bell hooks? Option A, The Will to Change, Men, Masculinity and Love. Option B, Teaching to Transgress, Education as the Practice of Freedom. Option C, Feminism is for Everybody.
Guys, Teaching to Transgress is a work of liberationist pedagogy that came in 1994. Then Feminism is for Everybody, that is 2000 work. The Will to Change, Men, Masculinity and Love came in 2004.
Let's look at the next question. Which of these author-speech pairs is wrongly matched? Sojourner Truth, Aren't I a Woman? Frederick Douglass, What to the slave is the 4th of July? Option C, W.E.B. Du Bois, Men of Niagara. Option D, Barack Obama, A More Perfect Union.
Ta-da! All these are correctly matched. Remember, speeches could also be important in the exam.
Here is the last question on Umberto Eco. A History of a Western Idea is the subtitle of a work by Eco where he discusses the idea of option A, history, option B, beauty, option C, power.
The Italian semiotician and philosopher Umberto Eco has written On Beauty, a History of a Western Idea. So the answer is beauty.
That was so much to know, ma'am, and so much information. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. We'll be back with Unit 5, that is on language.